Kingsman, The Golden Circle. Now, before I begin, I want to point out that yes, it's been a while, a couple months, but I'm back now. I've just been busy staying out of my house, and I've been traveling a little bit over the summer, but now I'm back, and let's get right to it. So, Kingsman, The Golden Circle is the sequel to the first Kingsman, The Secret Service, that came out about 2 years ago, I want to say, and it takes up pretty much where the last one left off. Taron Egerton has now reprised his role as Eggsy, and he's now a full-blown Kingsman agent, and the plot of the movie gets kicked off when the Kingsman headquarters and everything about them are attacked by some stranger. So Eggsy now has to team up with Mark Strong, who reprises his role as Merlin. They have to go to states to team up with this other agency called the Statesman, which is basically the American version of Kingsman, and now you have your movie. Kingsman: The Secret Service was definitely a very fun movie to watch. It took me by surprise, and I thought, well, they could make a sequel of this, but I don't know how good it'll be. So when I found out there was going to be a sequel, I was pretty excited, but a little bit worried because no matter how good original movies do, sequels can always kind of suck. That's not the case with this movie. This movie was definitely fun from the moment it took off. Taron Egerton playing Eggsy, he's definitely a fresh take on everything, and I just loved his character. He just has that certain charisma about him, just like in the first movie. Same with Mark Strong, same with pretty much everybody. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. Well, it's probably not a spoiler because you've seen the trailers, and if you have, you know that Colin Firth has returned, and Harry is apparently alive. How that is, well, they explain it in the movie, but just know that that's not a spoiler, and that's a plot point in the movie. Speaking of which, I want to talk about the chemistry between Colin Firth and Taron Egerton as Harry and Eggsy. That's one of the things I liked about the first movie, and they go back to it in this movie. It just feels so real between them, like they make a good partner duo, and you can't help but buy that. And that's not even beginning to talk about the action sequences in this movie. Hell, the first 5 minutes, there's this immediately nice car chase featuring Eggsy that you've also probably seen in the trailers, and it just pulls you right back into the world of Kingsman. And it's just a fun, enjoyable time to watch. And now you know what kind of movie you're getting into. Even the soundtrack that's playing throughout the action scene is fun. In fact, the soundtrack that plays through a lot of these scenes is actually pretty exciting. Good for a laugh, and it just pulls you right into it. Let me talk about the Statesman, because they're basically the American version of Kingsman. They own a whiskey company, and Channing Tatum and Halle Berry are major parts of the Statesman, as well as Jeff Bridges and Pedro Pascal. And they're pretty fun to watch when they're on screen. But it's not all sunshine and roses over here, because like many sequels, this movie suffers from some of the same things. One of which is basically trying to do what you did in the first movie and then do more of it. That was evident a couple times in this movie, but one of my complaints is that the Statesman, well, namely Channing Tatum, really didn't have a lot to do. In fact, I'd probably say he had maybe 10 or 15 minutes in the movie. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Julianne Moore plays the bad guy, or bad girl in this movie, the villainess, and she's basically this 1950s nostalgic mom who has this old diner somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and she's all smiles all throughout the movie, almost like she's high on drugs or whatever. Her character was actually pretty funny in a creepy sort of way, and I definitely like seeing her on screen, although she's not the only villain in the movie. In fact, there's a lot of throwbacks to the first movie and callbacks. So you definitely know who it is, and it's explained in the movie who the villains are, the other villains, and what they're doing. There's a pretty big action sequence towards the third act of the movie. Well, a couple of them towards the end. And I want to talk about that one for a couple seconds. Now, you remember the church scene from the first movie, the one that was probably one of the greatest scenes in film history, with Colin Firth just laying waste to everyone? Well, they did something like that towards the end of the movie in one action scene, and it's pretty evident. The camera work with that was, well, for the church scene, it pretty much followed Colin Firth all around. They did the same sort of with this one scene, but it's a little jarring. It does kind of sort of take you out of the action scene a little bit, but not entirely. I mean, I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a very nice action scene. It was pretty epic, complete with the music playing around, but at the same time, the fact that it was moving very quickly can hurt your head a little bit, so I was a little slightly annoyed with that, but the fact that the action scene itself was cool made up for it. Overall, Kingsman: The Golden Circle was definitely a worthy sequel to the first film. Was it better than the first film? Sadly, no. Did it take a step back? Yes. Was it still enjoyable as hell? Absolutely. And if they make a third movie, I'll definitely be looking forward to that too. So from here, I'll definitely say that Kingsman: The Golden Circle definitely gets a gold ribbon rating from me. Okay, so Kingsman the Golden Circle. Have you seen it yet? What did you think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What was your favorite part of the movie? Whatever you think, leave me a comment below and tell me how you feel. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitter at @AstroidMike. Don't forget to check out my blog. If you like what you see on this channel, you want to see more, click on the subscribe or the link below. And as always, I will see you around. So until then, this is me saying, peace out.